the president made an announcement that he was going forward with the auto tariffs, I knew I had to move. Ultimately, it's going to save me thousands of dollars to move now as opposed to waiting.
And White House officials tonight trying to downplay any stock market anxieties, insisting there will be a rebound despite the S&P 500 losing more than $5 trillion in value in just 2 days last week, and new fears tonight that the stock market could plunge even further tomorrow, the first day of trading on Wall Street since those widespread tariffs officially began this weekend. Lindsay.
Jay O'Brien from the White House for us. Thanks so much, Jay. Now to that alarming measles outbreak in West Texas, claiming the life of another child. ABC News confirms that an unvaccinated 8-year-old girl died last week. Measles cases in Texas are now nearing 500. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, is in Texas tonight. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal.
Tonight, Texas health officials on high alert, confirming a second child has died in the state's worst measles outbreak in 30 years. There have been at least 499 reported cases and 56 hospitalizations so far. It comes as an unvaccinated child died in late February, and 1 week later, an unvaccinated adult tested positive in New Mexico. That state experiencing its worst outbreak in 40 years, with at least 54 confirmed cases.
It is very hard to see these kids treating them. You see them struggling to breathe, they don't want to eat or drink, they're dehydrated, they have high fever, they're miserable.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy facing criticism over his handling of the outbreak, and who has been critical of vaccines, making a surprise trip to West Texas today to meet with the family of the child who recently died. There are now more than 600 confirmed measles cases across 21 states, more than doubling the number in all of 2024. Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy, a medical doctor who also cast a key vote confirming Secretary Kennedy, posting online today, "Everyone should be vaccinated. Top health officials should say so unequivocally before another child dies."
Lindsay, officials are extremely concerned about this outbreak. In the year 2000, the U.S. declared that this disease had been eliminated, but now they could lose that elimination status if they continue to battle this current outbreak into January of next year. Lindsay?
Concerning. All right, Maria, thank you. The Trump administration is revoking visas for some international students at colleges and universities across the country. One of those possibly affected is a Duke University freshman from South Sudan and a star of this season's March Madness tournament. Some students have been targeted over pro-Palestinian activism, but for others, it's unclear. Here's ABC's Melissa Adan.
Tonight, international students at colleges and universities around the country reeling. The federal government revoking a number of visas with little to no warning. Schools in Massachusetts, Ohio, Kentucky, Minnesota, Colorado, among those nationwide announcing yanked visas. And in California, schools including Stanford, Berkeley, and UCLA saying some of their students are also affected.
It's very jarring to see, and I feel like it's very, very scary. My parents were international students from Jamaica when they went to college, so I feel like it's very close to me.
Does that concern you for your classmates?
Yeah, I think it's very, very concerning.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio also announcing yesterday, "I am taking actions to revoke all visas held by South Sudanese passport holders effective immediately," alleging South Sudan hasn't been taking back their own citizens in a timely manner. The measure possibly affecting Duke University basketball player Kaman Malach, a freshman from South Sudan and a star of this season's March Madness tournament. The terminated visas a part of what appears to be mass cancellations by the federal government. These incidents coming as the Trump administration alleges violations by some students holding visas or green cards. Some students even detained, including a Tufts Fulbright scholar. Federal agents claiming her visa was revoked and the DOJ accusing her of supporting Hamas after co-authoring a pro-Palestinian op-ed for her student newspaper. And Mahmoud Khalil also detained after his green card was revoked. The Columbia University graduate, a prominent pro-Palestinian protester on campus. Attorneys for both have said their detentions are unlawful and are calling for their release. Lindsay, this follows that executive order from President Trump in January where he revoked student visas for students who participated in pro-Palestinian protests, including some of those protests we saw right here in UCLA last spring. Lindsay.
Melissa, thank you. Next tonight, two top immigration attorneys with the Department of Justice put on leave after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to send the man deported to a notorious mega prison in El Salvador back to the U.S. Here's ABC's Alex Prochet.
Tonight, one of the Justice Department's top immigration attorneys on indefinite paid leave for failure to zealously advocate for the Trump administration's interest after a federal judge ordered this man returned to the U.S. from the notorious mega prison in El Salvador where he was sent by mistake. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia's wife, who is a U.S. citizen, identified him in this prison photo and is suing for his immediate return.
Kilmar, if you can hear me, I miss you so much.
Arez Ruveni, who argued the administration's case, repeatedly struggled in court, telling the judge he was frustrated that I have no answers for you to so many of her questions, including under what authority Abrego Garcia was taken into custody. Attorney General Pam Bondi also placing his boss on leave for failure to supervise a subordinate, saying any attorney who fails to advocate on behalf of the United States will face consequences.
He shouldn't have taken the case. He shouldn't have argued it if that's what he was going to do.
Lindsay, the government has until midnight tomorrow to return Abrego Garcia back to U.S. soil. The judge tonight saying the question isn't the government's inability to return him to the U.S., but rather their lack of desire. Lindsay.
Alex Prochet for us. Thanks so much. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. New cases of the rare and deadly disease that killed actor Gene Hackman's wife, and the remarkable rescue Michigan State troopers race to find a missing toddler. Next tonight, an incredible rescue in Michigan. State troopers used a helicopter equipped with heat-seeking technology to locate a missing toddler. The 2-year-old boy was found curled up in a ditch wearing only a diaper. Officers on the ground brought the child to an ambulance. Police say he was not injured. Pope Francis today with a surprise for the faithful in St. Peter's Square. The 88-year-old pontiff in a wheelchair, appearing weak, frail, and on oxygen. This was his first public appearance since being released from the hospital 2 weeks ago. When we come back, the Great One's record that many said could never be broken falls. To the index now, health officials in Central California are confirming the deaths of 3 people from hantavirus. That's the same rare but often fatal disease contracted through rodent droppings that killed Gene Hackman's wife back in February. All 3 of the California deaths occurred in the past 2 months at Monmouth Lakes. It's unclear how they contracted the disease. Well, they say records are made to be broken, but this one has stood the test of time, 31 years, in fact. Today, Washington Capitals star Alex Ovechkin surpassed Wayne Gretzky's 894 career goals scored, slamming number 895 into the net against the New York Islanders. Gretzky was on hand. The Great One, as he is known, congratulated Ovechkin. The NHL commissioner said it was a record no one thought would ever be broken. When we come back, America Strong, still driving after all these years. Finally tonight, 55 years, more than 1.5 million packages, and he still delivers.
Put the seatbelt on, test the horn.
George Ledovico has started his day just like this for 61 years.
This is where I drive to Philadelphia every day. I first started on December the 13th, 1963, as Christmas help. I've done about every job that they have here.
He gets ready for work around 2 in the morning. At 84, George still works full-time as a driver out of Vineland, New Jersey. He was recently inducted into the UPS Circle of Honor, celebrated for 55 years of safe driving.
Give it up for George, everybody.
His safety tips?
Make sure you clear an intersection, always be alert, and always expect the unexpected.
Something he likely learned while serving in the Marine Corps for 4 years. Since then, he's logged more than 2 million miles driving for UPS.
Stops delivered, 1,787,500.
That was all 1 week.
Packages delivered, 3.6 million packages.
Oh my God, no wonder my back hurts. I enjoy getting up and going to work. Here's the crew. Smile.
Give it up for George, everyone.
Tantamount to retiring that jersey. Thanks so much for watching. David Muir back here tomorrow. I'm Lindsay Davis. Have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.